Russian President Putin developed a clear preference for Trump over Secretary Clinton. In addition, Putin aspired to help Trump's election chances. Those controversial findings are on page 1 of the January 5, 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment. President Obama had ordered the report on Russian interference in the U.S. election. Turns out his own spy masters were doing the meddling. The details are in the House Intelligence Committee's report, recently declassified by Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence.
There was a gross politicization and manipulation of intelligence by the Obama administration intended to delegitimize President Trump even before he was inaugurated.
The case against Trump was a lie. It was based largely on 3 junk CIA intelligence reports. Senior CIA officers rejected all 3, but their boss at the CIA, Director John Brennan, approved them anyway.
Brennan ordered the publication of quote-unquote substandard reporting on Russian activities, which had previously been withheld from publication of prior assessments because the information was judged, quote, to have not met long-standing publication standards.
Director Gabbard called the reports substandard. Junk would be the better term. The intel was poorly sourced, or worse, unsourced. It was also unverified and uncorroborated. In other words, junk. Here's a look at each one with background and context. Flash back to the 2016 Clinton-Trump presidential campaign. Dateline, Philadelphia, July 25th. The Democrats' convention is about to nominate Hillary Clinton for president. That's when news breaks about the leak of embarrassing Democratic National Committee emails featuring Clinton and other party leaders. Clinton's campaign manager, Robbie Mook, suggests the Russians are at fault, and he makes the media rounds pushing that story.
What's disturbing to us is that experts are telling us that Russian state actors broke into the DNC, stole these emails, and other experts are now saying that the Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump.
So the Clinton campaign's narrative is set. The Russians are trying to get Trump elected. Did the Russians hack the DNC? The FBI never examined the DNC computers, so there's no government confirmation of how the emails were leaked to the media. Nevertheless, the Clinton campaign feeds the Putin is helping Trump theme to anyone who will listen.
And it's troubling that some experts are now telling us that this was done by the Russians for the purpose of helping Donald Trump.
Meanwhile, there's a related development at CIA headquarters. A confusing piece of raw intel shows up. This raw intel is what I describe as CIA junk intel number 1. It's a shoddy piece of work identified by House Intelligence Committee investigators. Here's what the intel says. Putin had made this decision to leak the DNC emails after he had come to believe that the Democratic nominee had better odds of winning the U.S. presidential election, and that candidate Trump, whose victory Putin was counting on, most likely would not be able to pull off a convincing victory. The issue here is one 6-word sentence fragment, quote, whose victory Putin was counting on, unquote. What does that mean? Did Putin expect Trump to win? Prefer he win? What? Senior CIA officers debated it, couldn't make any sense of it, and rejected it. CIA Director John Brennan overruled his CIA team. So what does that 6-word sentence fragment, whose victory Putin was counting on, really mean? Brennan's interpretation is that Putin aspired to help Trump's election chances. And those very words are on page 1 in the final report on election meddling. So Brennan took a garbled, hopelessly vague 6-word sentence fragment and interpreted it to mean Putin aspired to help Trump win. His own people told him there wasn't any intel to support that conclusion. Senior CIA officers told Brennan, "We don't have direct information that Putin wanted to get Trump elected." The House Intelligence Committee report described the CIA junk intel as scant, unclear, unverifiable, a single source. In other words, junk. One more thing, the intel never said Putin aspired to help Trump win. Next up, a closer look at CIA junk intel number 2. Its shoddy work was highlighted by the House Intelligence Committee investigators. Let's dive in. We begin with the Intelligence Community assessment of January 2017. Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for Trump. That major judgment is on page 1 of the report to President Obama. The source for that was Junk Intel number 2, where the raw intel reports as early as February 2016, a Russian political expert possessed a plan that recommended engagement with Trump's team because of the prospects for improved U.S.-Russian relations. The supposed plan, are you ready for this, was to place a well-known pro-Kremlin official on Trump's campaign team to formulate a mutually acceptable agenda between Trump and Putin. Sounds outlandish. Did anyone take this supposed plan seriously? House Intelligence Committee investigators said the plan was just an email with no date, no identified sender, and no clear recipient. Overall conclusion? Unverified and implausible. In other words, junk. It was also considered junk at CIA headquarters. Senior CIA officers said it lacked authoritativeness and was odd. They also rejected the intel but were overruled by CIA Director John Brennan. Up next, junk CIA intel number 3. It's another raw intelligence report of no value, but it was used to support a major conclusion in the intelligence community assessment. The assessment states Putin and the Russian government developed a clear preference for Trump. Did Putin really prefer Trump? What does the intel say? It wasn't declassified, so I couldn't read it, but House Intel Committee investigators had access to it. Here's what they found. Junk Intel Report number 3 was based on secondhand information. The ultimate source of the information was unknown. The source's access to top Russian officials was also unknown. Senior CIA officers rejected it, but CIA Director John Brennan overruled them.
Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious, substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Intelligence professionals at the CIA and FBI know the difference between good intel and bad. They even have a rule book that serves as a guide. So what went wrong? A lot. The House Intelligence Committee report put the blame on the political bosses. That would be Obama's CIA Director John Brennan and the FBI's top cop, Director Jim Comey. The intel analysis failures included the use of unreliable sources or unnamed sources. They also cherry-picked intel supporting a predetermined conclusion and ignored solid intel that didn't. Those are all violations of Intelligence Community Directive 203. Its protocols dictate what's good intel and what's not. They're the official rules of the road for intel analysis, rules that were broken by Obama's spy masters. I'll get into the details in my next report. This is John Spiropoulos. Thanks for watching.